Okay, what is up everyone? In this video, we're gonna talk about some stuff that's going around on the internet right now. It's been toxic. Ever since I uploaded a video of whether if it should be pulling for Eula or a Eula showcase, people had been leaving some comments like, hey, this guy did 4 million damage, hey, this guy did 2 million damage, but hear me out. The history of my showcases. From the start, I've been using food and then people had been bashing me for that. So I kinda stopped using food, and then that showcase with couple million damage in Sparrowbiz floor 7. You guys also had that as a taboo where all those YouTubers should stop doing a showcase there, and all of a sudden you guys all like that. And also some people leave a comment saying that, hey, Tenha is a dumbass. He doesn't know how to use food. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? So let me run down some points. So if you do a showcase in Sparrowbiz, although you all know and although you all like those big damage, it's not realistic. And it's not something you should look up to. As a C0 character owner, you should not be looking at those burst damage videos, to be honest. So hear me out. When you enter Sparrowbiz, especially in floor 7, there is something called Benedict. So you don't need to remember what they're called, but they give you 3 cards and you choose one of the cards, and then as you go up the chamber, you get those buffs and they stack, right? And then those kind of buffs, they change every day, so it is not realistic at all. And especially when you have seen those Hu Tao showcases or Eula showcase, the team goes like this. There's Eula, of course, and Bennett, with of course Aquila Favonia, Q, max level. There's Klee, C2, decreasing opponent's defense by 23% for 10 seconds. On top of that, she gives Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, which gives 48% attack to Eula. And Eula's base attack is 1000, almost 1100. And there is Xinyan with R5 Wolf's Greystone, so that when she hits the opponents with E, there's gonna be 80% attack increase for 12 seconds. And from her talents, by using her E and having that shield up, your Eula will be doing 15% increased physical damage. And from the constellation, after using her E, it decreases opponent's physical res by 15% for 12 seconds, which is a massive buff for Eula, especially when her base attack is really high. So, by attacking Electrofatui, you trigger Superconduct without having any electro element in your team, so that is not real, okay? That damage is not real. So what we can do here is that we can add a character that helps to trigger Superconduct and possibly give you a little bit more energy particles, but it doesn't really matter. So at this point, if you're trying to do a showcase for Eula burst damage, people would be going for critical damage, attack percentage sans. Fuck the critical rate. We just go for critical damage, and we're trying to show some big damage for the clickbait. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to say those content creators are bad. It's just that you guys are giving them views, which is not a bad thing at all. But it's just that some people who doesn't like to think just watches those videos and say something like, hey, you can do 4 million damage with Eula, and you spread that word around, and then people think it's the real damage, when it's not. So, I know that my videos have lower numbers that doesn't attract a lot of the views. However, that was my argument. Like when I was doing a showcase with all those food buffs, right? People were shitting on me and I said, because I'm using food buffs every single time, I do have those bit data in the back so that I can compare characters and I know what to say to my viewers. But people still said that I am a bad content creator because I use food, so I stopped using food. And look what happened. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. And I'm still getting those comments saying I'm still a bad content creator because I don't know how to use food. Okay? And also, when you're looking at those big numbers, I want you to be aware whether if they're using food or not, what kind of characters that they use, so that you know what they have done to get a big number, okay? So don't get fooled, because I do think Eula is a good average 5-star means it's a compliment for me. But sometimes, everyone has a different standard, and they understand words wrong, and then they say, oh, Tenha thinks it's average, which means it's bad. No, if you take a look at the average 5 stars, for example, D-Luke, I would say he's an average 5-star. Is he bad? No, he's rather good. Jean, not an average 5-star. I don't like her. She has a cleanse. It's just that she just doesn't shine in Genshin Impact because we don't have that content. So long time ago when we used to have that old Sparrowbiz 12th floor, if that 12th floor still still existed until now, people would have said that Jane is actually a good character. Mona, is she a good 5-star? I would say below average, but except when she's helping you do burst damage. Realistically, it was really hard for me to utilize her, so she's not really a good character, in my opinion. Especially when she cannot be like a main DPS. So, let's talk about what we can do here. All we need is 2 pyro characters, and especially when you're trying to use Xinyan, we can't really use her in the real battle because Wolf's Gravestone, if we get an opponent below 30% HP, if that's the case, and she uses E, that's great. But do you think that monster with 30% HP can withstand all those damage that Eula is going to produce? I believe not. So, although Xinyan produces a lot of the buffs, I would have to replace her, Visual, okay, to produce Superconduct, that's always good. So with these 4 characters with food buff, I wonder how much damage I can do to the elemental boss, which is Primordial Bishop. So let's go ahead and see how much damage we can do. Before we get started, I would like to show you my stats. Right now, she has 2635 attack. I have 45% critical rate, 226% critical damage, with the 129% physical damage bonus. I'm using R5 Song of Broken Pines. For the artifacts, I'm using 2-piece Bloodstained and 2-piece Pale Flame set. For the constellation, I have C6. And for the talents, I have level 9 for her E and then level 12 for her Q. Let me use Official Food here, and let's see how it goes. So we've got a 1.28 million damage with the burst setting. But is this a real damage? Probably not. So what I want to show you is that in a typical situation, how much damage is she gonna do? In order for us to do like a big damage with Eula, I think it's a lot better than using other characters in the past. And then the amount of damage you do is probably like 1 million, 2 million. That is almost like the cap, right? So I actually like Eula. However, if we were to keep this setting, that means you will not be able to use her Q all the time. That is a bad part of Eula, okay? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to replace her Sands with Energy Recharge, okay? Because when I was using her with 160% Energy Recharge, she did pretty good. She did pretty good. Along with Special, she consistently gets energy particles, so it's a good thing. And one sad thing about this is that we are gonna have to take out either Bennett or Klee in order for us to get cryo particles. Cryo particles help her get her Q up a lot faster. But Klee would also work because of her talents, where if she does charge attack and then gets a crit hit, all party member gains 2 elemental energy, right? So that's always good. And also, when Klee is using her Q, then she will regenerate 3 energy for all members of the party every 3 seconds. So, along with that, and if she does charge attack all the time, then she's gonna regenerate a lot of the energy particles, which is gonna be super, super nice. So, I'm gonna try to use Klee and her ult to see if this is gonna be a working team for Eula. However, we're probably gonna have to take out Thrilling Tales of Dragon because she needs to crit. Because of that reason, I would have to take out Klee. For a cryo character, I'm gonna be using Diona because I have Favonia's Warbow at R5, and my crit rate is 75%. I will always do a crit hit because her charge E will fire 5 icy paws. One of them would of course crit. That's gonna be something good. So I'm gonna put Diona here. Let's see how it goes. So as long as I get my Eula's Q within that time period, it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna put Official, Diona E, beat that ice particle to Eula. I'm gonna have to use this. Okay, there you go. Okay, that was 1.1 million damage. Did that consist RNG by any chance? There's one more thing we need to do. What if we give her the best in slot artifacts when you want to actually use Eula with any other characters. For example, with the 60% energy recharge, she's gonna be okay, and with that 69% critical rate, which is nice, it's gonna be also great. She's gonna be very consistent, right? She might miss some crits here and there, but 69% I would say is pretty balanced. If you do want that extra critical chance, which I think is gonna be very good if you put a cryo character along with the Eula, that's gonna be plus 15 because of the cryo resonance, which gives you extra 15% chance, right? So that would be 85%. That is very, very good. So let's go ahead and revisit Primal Bishop with the ideal stats with food, okay? Don't get confused. I believe that was not that great, but still, I would say 800k damage is pretty good. And just keep that in mind that all those showcase videos, you have to take a look at what sands they're using. You also have to take a look at your critical chance so that if the guy is bullshitting you or not. So yeah, I think I would end my video here. But I actually really like this build. And I can also probably take out Bennett because the Eula can produce shield. I can probably put in maybe Klee. You can pretty much put Xinyan as well if and only if you're attacking a monster with huge HP bar where Xinyan can proc her Wolf's Gravestone and then Eula can use her Q, do all those damage and be able to have the explosion damage. So I really hope that this video helps you clarify whether if you should be pulling for Eula or not. And I hope you guys understand my neutral stance, as if a content creator say certain character is worth it, it might make people to spend money into a game when they don't need to, right? So yeah, rather than being a content creator who would like to say, oh, this is so much worse, you should pull for it, I would like to give you an honest opinion about what I think about a character, and I also want you to get used to my words. For example, I did say Zhongli is worth it, but at the same time, it's not worth to spend money in the game. That's as much as I would say to a character when it's really, really necessary for you to have. But yeah, for Eula, she's an average 5-star. To compare her with other characters, I would say it was much easier for me to do big damage. So compared to Hu Tao or any other characters, like for example Child, when I was doing a burst DPS showcase, like for example Child, I had to put Hydro, swirl it off, Bennett Q, and then put Pyro again, and then switch back to Child and then use Q. So besides that, all I had to do was just put down Official's E, do all those buffs, and then switch to Eula, use Q, do all those combos, damages, and then just make sure you do a hold E so that you reduce the enemy's physical res. And then you do big damage. And after that, you switch back to a different character and you start farming for those elemental particles again, and then switch back to Eula when you're all set for the burst damage again. So it was a lot more simpler. I would say I was able to see a big damage number without too much of a stress. But then again, this is C6 Eula with the R5 weapon. Keep that in mind, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.